Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing, has my ex really moved on? I provide audio coaching to help people try and get their ex back or get a new girlfriend or boyfriend. Check out my website for more details. www.dateme.tips. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing, has my ex really moved on? So if you've gone through a breakup and life can feel confusing, if you haven't heard from your ex in a while, it can create anxiety and wonder. In today's podcast, I discuss 3 points to consider when we answer the question, has my ex really moved on? So let's get straight into this. And point number 1 is we live in the moment. It's important to remember that we live in the moment, we speak in the moment, and we feel in the moment. When you and your now ex were in a relationship, when you were living together potentially, maybe you were even married, at that point in time, you were both feeling a high level of romantic emotional attraction for one another. Now again, this doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be as intense as married or as living together. Maybe you had been dating just a few months, but you weren't living together. Again, you were feeling a high level of romantic emotional attraction for one another. When two people first get together, when two people have been in a relationship for a while during a positive period of their life, this is where a high level of attraction is felt between both people. Now, at that time, if you had asked either of you, can you imagine ever breaking up? The likelihood is you would both have said no. The likelihood is you would both have said, we want to live together forever. You would likely say to each other that you love each other forever and you can't imagine dating anybody else ever again. That is because you live in the moment, you speak in the moment, you feel in the moment. Sometimes people get dumped and they say, look, my now ex must have been lying when they said they loved me. They must have been lying when they said that they cared for me, they loved me, and they never wanted anybody else. This is not true. This is not a lie. In most instances, people are speaking from a heart as they live in the moment. That was true then. But unfortunately, right now, that level of attraction has dropped for one or both people. And what we see is there is a low level of romantic emotional attraction from at least one person to the other, if not from both to each other. So at one point, there was a high level of attraction, and now there is a low level of attraction. And if you were to say to the dumper in this instance, can you imagine ever getting your ex back? They would likely say no. Why would I want to do that? I'm not feeling like I want to be in a relationship with them anymore. For various potential reasons, they ended the relationship, the breakup took place, and at this moment in time, they are speaking their truth. They are speaking that they don't want to be in that relationship. They feel that their life will be more fulfilled going on a different path, going on a different journey, and that does not involve their now dumpee. So when we answer the question, has my ex really moved on, we have to understand we speak in the moment, because if we consider that once you were together and in love, now you are apart and at least one of you is not feeling the love, that shows a huge shift, a huge change. And if that was possible to go that way, from love to no love, then what you can see is it can also go the other way. It can go from no love to love. Of course, before you and your ex ever met, you didn't love each other, you didn't know each other. So at one time, you didn't know each other, you didn't love each other. Then you did know each other, and you did love each other. Right now, you are broken up, and there is a lack of love between you both. But what we can see in the future is an open path. I don't know what the future holds. You don't know what the future holds. Your ex doesn't know what the future holds because nobody knows what is round the next corner. All we can say is what we are feeling right now. So has your ex really moved on? People say to me, my ex-husband never want to see me again. Have they moved on? Well, at this point in time, they don't want to be in a relationship with you. And it doesn't look good in the short term. But this doesn't mean necessarily that they'll be feeling this way forever. This doesn't mean necessarily that they won't want to see you in the future. Now, I'm not trying to give you false hope. There is no 100% guaranteed way to get your ex back. Sometimes people don't hear from their dumper again. Sometimes people don't reconnect. That is the truth. But often people hear from their ex again. Often people can have the opportunity to reconnect if it works for both of them at that particular time in their lives. So what we are saying is, we never know what the future holds. Has your ex really moved on? Well, right now, they don't want to be with you. But does this mean they don't want to be with you in 6 months and a year? That doesn't mean that at all. We don't know. But even if they change their mind and they want to be with you, would you want to be with them in 6 months or a year? You might think you do right now, but would you then? Okay, because you will evolve, you will grow just as they will. Life ebbs and flows like a river going out, like a sea going out and coming back in, like the tide, okay? When we consider how life can change in almost mysterious ways, we have to understand that we speak in the moment, we live in the moment, we love in the moment, we don't love in the moment, but that can come back round again. So always remember that point number 1 of today's podcast, has my ex really moved on? We live in the moment and we truly don't know. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast about has my ex really moved on? And point number 2 is respect a blocking. Now, not all of you would have been blocked, but some of you would have been. And if you have been blocked, this is a warning sign. When we were speaking earlier in point number 1 about we live in the moment, we have to understand, but if you've been blocked, then in that moment, your ex is feeling an incredibly low level of attraction for you, and they're also feeling under threat in some way or another. That doesn't necessarily mean they are worried about a physical threat, but they might be worried about the threat of you bombarding them with messages, and that could be affecting their mental health. So you have to understand that if somebody blocks you, they're doing it for a reason. They're trying to say, please don't communicate with me. I am not wanting to be communicated with. Now, if you have been blocked and you think, I just need to speak to my ex, I can smooth this out, the likelihood is you won't be able to. Okay, because when somebody is in that mindset that they don't want to speak with you, it is very unlikely that you're going to be able to speak yourself out of this. Your opportunity of being unblocked is your ex coming to that decision by themselves over time. So don't think to yourself, I need to cheat the blocking. I need to find one platform I'm not blocked on and get that message across, because guess what? You will likely be blocked on there as well. Don't think you're going to go and knock on their door. You will likely be told to go away. If you keep pushing after a blocking, the next step is a restraining order. The next step is the authorities being called, and you certainly don't want that. Because when we ask the question, has my ex really moved on? Well, if there is a restraining order in place, the likelihood is they really have gone forever. Now, I have known a couple of rare instances where even from a restraining order, a dumper in this instance could theoretically move forward in a way where they decide to reconnect, but that is in the minority. Okay, once you get a restraining order, life is looking very unlikely that you're going to get back together. Now, a blocking is not as bad. I know of lots of instances where people have been blocked and then into the future they are unblocked and a reconnection can take place. So although a blocking isn't great, although a blocking needs to be respected, a blocking doesn't necessarily mean the end. This doesn't mean you should be thinking, oh, I've been blocked, that's fine, we'll get back together. We don't know what the story is. We don't know how life is going to pan out for you during this time. All I can say is that I've known many instances where given enough space and time, a dumper can change their mind and reconnect with their ex, even after they've blocked them. They unblock them and then they reach out. It doesn't always happen though. And if you try and cheat the blocking, you will likely be in even further trouble, as I've previously discussed. So, when we consider point number 2 of today's podcast about has my ex really moved on, please respect a blocking. Don't try and get out of it, because as you try to wriggle free of a blocking, you're just going to be making things worse. If they unblock you, then it will be your ex's decision. And if they decide to not unblock you, it will be your ex's decision. You, at this time, can't affect things, okay? Very, very unlikely can you have a positive influence. Once you've been blocked, you've got to move forward with your life, go through self-improvement, become a better version of yourself. And if and when your ex does unblock you, if and when your ex unblocks you and reaches out, they will be amazed by your transformation, your improvements, and you can reconnect from there. Please respect a blocking. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about has my ex really moved on? And point number 3 is star of your life story. So we all have a life story. And when you and your ex together, the likelihood is that during the chapters of your life story, when your relationship took place, the star of that life story was your ex. They were your loved one, they were your partner, they were probably the most important person in your life during those chapters of your life story. Right now in your life story, your ex is no longer part of it. If somebody was to read your life story right now, the current chapter doesn't include your ex's name. But that doesn't mean they can't star in your life story further on. That doesn't mean that in future chapters, your ex can't return and become a huge influence and have a great impact on your life and your life story. We never know when the story ends. We never know when the book is finished. Just because the chapter ended with you and your ex breaking up, that was the end of a chapter. It wasn't the end of a book. Okay, it wasn't the end of your life story. It was the end of that current chapter. You had chapters before your ex, you will have chapters without your ex, and you may have chapters in the future which has your ex having a starring role once again. Now, in between, you might have other people having starring roles in your life story, other new partners. If not partners, friends, experiences, lots of things can take the place in your life story of a romantic interest. As our life ebbs and flows, as I said earlier, we never know what's around the next corner. But please don't be fearful that just because a chapter has ended between you and your ex, that you start to worry and think, well, I'm never going to hear from them again. I'm certainly never going to get back together with them again, because even though there's no guarantee you will hear from them again, there's certainly no guarantee that you and your ex will get back together. What we can say is that if you do everything right, there is every chance you will hear from your ex again. If you do everything right, then there is every chance that you can move through the communication stage effectively if they reach out and reconnect. I provide an audio coaching service to help people going through breakups, whether it's breakup recovery, whether it's strategy to try to get an ex back, whether it's trying to look for a new boyfriend or a new girlfriend. My audio coaching service is tailored to your unique relationship and breakup circumstances. There is no guarantee of success, but if you go through the self-improvement, if you use the motivation that I will give you to boost you to the stars, this will allow you to have a higher self-esteem, a better outlook on life, and give you the skill set to enable you to try and reconnect with an ex or get an even better partner if you can't. If you want more details on my audio coaching service, please check out my website, www.dateme.tips. Whether your life story includes your ex or not in the later chapters, it doesn't mean that you will not find happiness. Happiness, fulfillment, satisfaction is all that matters, and it is not tied to a particular person. It has to come from within. It has to come from you alone. You can do this. You will do this. I believe in you. I'm sure your friends and family do as well. You're currently going through a dark tunnel in your life. You're currently feeling scared. You don't know where to turn. But the only way to progress through a dark tunnel, the only way to get out the other side is to keep moving forward. The worst thing you could do is sit down, look around, but not progress. You've got to get up when you feel like not getting up. You've got to go through self-improvement where you feel like you don't want to do anything at all. And you need to live your life to the full. Because even if you think I want my ex back, trust me, the best way to take your mind off your ex is to speak with and date new people. As long as you're respectful, as long as these new people understand you're fresh out of a breakup, you don't know what you're looking for, as long as you don't lead them up the garden path, as long as they understand that this might not be serious, then you will get great fulfillment by spending time with other people, new people, learning how to improve your communication skills, your flirting skills, all of these perishable skills that if you don't practice, you will get worse at. Those are the things which will help you stop making mistakes, stop reaching out to your ex when you shouldn't be, stop behaving in a negative way. And this is why I always believe that you should be pushing forward and making new connections. Because even if you don't hear from your ex again, even if you think, well, I've done all of this and it wasn't even worthwhile because I never heard from my ex again. Well, guess what? If you keep pushing forward, if you keep making new connections, one day you will find somebody even better than your ex. I know you don't believe me right now, but it is true. It truly is win-win. Please keep moving forward. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.
Yeah, if you miss your ex, we can help with that. Help you get him back, or we can help find you someone else. Yeah, Vincent Bo, the relationship coach, giving you some insight, bringing you a new approach. DateMe.tips, go and check the site, giving you advice, helping with your love life. Get your ex back, or move to the next. Ain't no sweat, you know Vincent Bo got you. Finding love ain't no problem. Yeah, DateMe.tips, check it out now.